Welcome to the Fearless Happiness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Njist invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happiness Podcast, and this is Max Njist.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. And yes, I'm going to say it again because it's always true. I have two amazing and special guests joining me all the way from the UK. So I feel pretty blessed today. So pay attention, everybody. So what I like to do, ladies, is have you introduce yourselves to my audience, who you are, what it is you do. And then, like I say, we're going to rock and roll.
Love it. Well, thank you ever so much for having us. We really do appreciate it. It's going to be fun. So, hi everyone. I'm Jo. I am one half of the Vicky and Jo duo over at Canine Business Academy, and we are business strategists helping everybody in the dog professional world essentially learn to love their business, grow, scale it, have more money, more freedom, and just work with people that you love.
Right. And I happen to say a lot to some of my family members and friends, and some of my family dogs, right? I love more than some of the people I know on this planet. But go ahead, Vicky, you're next, and let them get to know you a little bit. This is going to be fun, everybody. I can't wait. Let's go.
Thank you. So I'm Vicky. I am the other half of the duo, and we joined forces as dog trainers to inspire change in this industry because we feel like there's so much that needs to change. So yeah, we came together, and we are a force to be reckoned with. I would describe ourselves as.
I love it. I love it. We need more forces like you two out there, especially when it comes to our four-legged friends, right? And well, I'm sure you see it, but like I see it online, like where someone is trying to sell a puppy, right? And when you you realize that it's not what they said it was. And for instance, like I'll go back, my little Emmy, my little dachshund, right? She was how we found out about her, right? We're going to go get, my wife wanted a dachshund. She was raised with them. So long story short, we go to this, and this guy comes around the corner, right? And like he's got one arm in his jacket. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And then he opens his jacket, and Emmy pops her head out, right? And she doesn't look healthy. And like what this lady said, you know, who we bought it from, and it's not even the lady we're supposed to meet. It's some guy in a jacket. But anyway, we fell in love with her right away. And, you know, I'm glad you're here because this is a little bit different for me, but we could talk about those business practices. But let's go back first and talk about some of the challenges you two have faced that brought you from where you were to putting together a Canine Business Academy to help people run a better business when it comes to our four-legged friends. And right, because you know, it probably happens all over. There's scams all over the world, and you got what to look for and stuff like that. What brought you into this space that happened in your own lives, right? Where you said, we got to do something different here.
Oh, it's a good question. Yeah, it's a brilliant question. So, it's always a tricky one to answer this because I think Vicky and I had such different backgrounds. So I had worked in the corporate space in marketing and ad agency world for the best part of 14 years. So very intense, very high pressure, very high speed at everything. And Vicky was from more so the rescue side of it. And then we each had our own businesses. And I think from running those businesses as we were, which was essentially nobody teaches you how to run a business. You kind of go and do the thing that you love and just fall into it. And certainly that was the case for me. So I got my first husky, fell in love with training her and understanding all of the psychology and stuff around it, and thought, I want to do this as a business. And even though I'd been in the corporate space for, like I say, those 14 years, nobody hands you a roadmap to go, okay, so these are the step-by-step things that you need to do now to go and create a business. And I think just from trials and tribulations of actually being in that business space, you learn so much from it. And then when Vicky and I met, I don't know, we both just had this same desire and the same passion to go, this industry is a bit of a shit show. It's a bit of a, everyone is, our phrase that we seem to have coined lately is scratting around, just trying to find money left, right, and center, not really thinking about clients, not really doing anything. And the advice that we are being given from accrediting bodies, so for those organizations that are helping us understand the dog knowledge, it's just pretty poor. It's very archaic. So we kind of met, kept going out for coffees and poached egg on toast, which is my favorite story to tell. And we ended up just going, something needs to change. And that's kind of where Canine Business, or affectionately as we call it, CBA, was born.
Love it. What about you, Vicky?
Yeah, so I guess if we're looking at it from like what led us to do what we do, as Joe mentioned, I started in like rescues or shelter kind of work, and you see all sorts. Like when you work in a shelter, you're seeing everything coming through. And I had this like real passion to make a difference and to do better for these dogs that were coming into the rescues and leaving, and basically trying to get it from the source and go like, what can I do to contribute to this industry so that people are getting a better level of support for their puppies when they first get them, and then they learn to understand them better, and then if they do end up in shelters, they're going to be more rehomable, easy to manage, and stay in the homes that they're put in. So I started doing puppy classes like most people do. You know, in the UK, it's the typical route of starting with a class. And as Joe said, I was that queen of scratting about and just going for anything, anybody that would have me, you know, like come along to my classes, and constantly feeling frustrated that at the time I was blaming clients for it. Like I was one of these people that I didn't client bash publicly, but I was like, why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they doing the work? Why are they coming each week and they're not progressing, and getting really, really frustrated. And it never occurred to me to look inwards and go, you know what, you're not really setting these people and these dogs up very well with the environment that you're putting them in, and you're expecting them to learn a load of brand new things in a really distracting environment, never having done it before. Like, you're all novices, owners and dogs here. And yeah, I was just going around in circles for many, many years, but doing the best that I thought I could do, really, with the knowledge that I had. Because as Joe said, you're not taught how to run a business. All you're taught is all these amazing dog knowledge skills, which I'd got loads of, and I could do everything, you know, pretty much, and I did. But yeah, had no clue about how to be truly customer centric and how to, I know, deliver that training in a way by where people were going to be successful with it. And the amount of like sleepless nights I had, the amount of like, I don't know, beating myself up about how to do things better, and I just didn't know how to do it. And then when I entered the business world, I suddenly was like, oh wow, like this is how you really do it. This is the strategy bit that we all need and that's missing from our business. And then it totally opened my eyes out. And during the process, the personal development mindset work involved when you're growing a business, you're never prepared for it. And for me, I changed so much. Like over the last few years, I don't know, I can't, well, Joe will back me up here, how much I have come and how much I've grown and how much growth we've all still got to do. But I just look at myself in those old days and going like I was a completely different person then. And I've just opened myself out to go in where the problem lies now is me. I need to look at myself and I need to do better for these owners. I need to do better for the dogs ultimately. And I need to do better to help our clients, you know, grow their businesses and do the best things. So I suppose when we're looking at it like as that purpose bit and that kind of where did it come from? What kind of adversities did we have? It was that really, I suppose. It's that like lack of anything and trying to get some clarity and then trying to spread the awareness of there's an easier way of doing this, you know.
Right. Well, there's something to that saying where I've heard many times before I became an entrepreneur, right? Like entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Like you, when I've been working in the addiction field for 16 years almost, right? And I go, okay, I'm going to start my own private practice, right? And I'm going to do all this. And then you start it and you're like, oh, what do I do? No one taught me how to do. The schools don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur, right? I wish, back growing up, it should start back in grade school. I mean, math and everything has its purpose, but right when in the real world, some of the things you learn at school, you just go, I don't even need this. Like, this is not going to help me run my business, right? In the beginning, what were some of those challenges as you guys came together to start this business with, well, you have the background in shelters, but like getting Joe up to speed and saying, hey, this is like, how did that work together? Because I know that could be, as partners, right, it could be frustrating at times. How do you guys overcome those frustrations and keep the main thing, as they say, the main thing, and make sure that your clients are served well, the pets are, the animals are served well, instead of going like, I'm going to take a break for a while. Like, Joe, have fun. Or Vicky, I'll see you later. I'm going to go. Right. Like, there's, partnerships, like in anything, right, take work. So how did that come about? Like, those are challenges I see every day with, family member, like in what I do, like becoming a partner with your loved one who's trying to get sober, instead of like, oh, here, Max, we'll be back in 90 days. You fix them and they should be all better. Right. No, it doesn't work that way. Right. So does that make sense where I'm getting at? Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's so much crossover on loads of different things there, because ultimately you mentioned like family and partnerships and stuff. And ultimately, our husbands both said to us the other weekend when we went out that actually Vicky and I are more in a marriage than we are with our actual husbands, because we see each other more and we're on the phone together more and we do everything together. But it's something that's kind of, I don't know, it's evolved into this beautiful partnership over the years, because I think we both came from running our own individual businesses. So Vicky had been doing her dog business for about 13, 14 years, I think it was. And I'd been doing mine for about 10. And then we kind of merged those two businesses together from the dog training side of it. And I think in the early stages, so whilst CBA was actually being formed, we were learning a lot about how the other person works. So we jokingly say that we are the same person split in two, but each of us kind of got the characteristics of, have you heard of the DISC profile? So the personality profiling.
No, but do tell.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for those of you listening, if you've not come across DISC profiling, I strongly encourage you to go and check it out. It's really, really interesting. So essentially, the DISC can be broken down into, the D is very much it's for dominance. It's like a dominant profile. It's somebody who likes to take risks, get things done really quickly, doesn't necessarily require much thought, very like gut feel led. And it's like, right, if I'm in, I'm in. And if I'm out, I'm out. Very much that kind of approach. Your I is very much a people person. So like to be not center of attention in like a cringy way, but you can hold a room. You like the social aspect of it. The S side of it is very much about your safety and security, and again, looking after and out for the people that you love more than yourself. And then your C profile is what I just refer to as an accountant. Somebody who just really likes the nitty gritty detail. And if you was to challenge anybody who's a C profile, you better make sure that you've got your facts straight, because they will have you for it. So Vicky is the S. Well, you're an IS, aren't you? And then I'm an ID. So the S and the D are polar opposite. So I'm very much that, right, come on, let's quick decision, let's go. Very risk adverse. I'll just jump in and we'll figure it out as we go. And Vicky's very much the opposite and going, whoa, 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 hit the brakes. What are you doing? Where's that cash coming from for us to spend? Who is it going to affect?
Yeah.
What is like, what's the purpose? How is this going to benefit us? And that, I think in the early stages was probably, I don't want to say the biggest challenge, because I think we've navigated it really well. But as soon as we really researched into disc profiling and we got these profiles, it was like, oh my gosh, that's really interesting. And we were able to, I don't know, we can almost joke about it, can't we? And go like, it's not you as a person, it's just a part of your personality profile. So we go like, oh wait, hold on, your S is a little bit ramped up here, let's dial it down, or vice versa, your D's a little bit high, let's dial it down, and let's figure out where we are. And by looking at those two attributes together, I think that that has really contributed to how well CBA has done in its first 12 months. And with all of the, I mean, we did so much in the first 10 months of that business. Like we wrote a book that's a #1 bestseller on Amazon. We've got our own podcast. We've got a conference we're putting on this year. We're actually flying out to the States in May to do a speaking gig. And all of these came with so many challenges to go, right, let's figure it all out. But a lot of it came down to that personality profile.
What are your thoughts, Vicky? Because it
Yeah,
sounds
and
kind of right where like
yeah,
my wife and I are opposites, right? Like sometimes, but we switch like you guys do. Like sometimes I'm the one, let's go do it. And she's like, whoa, slow down, partner. Like, no, we're not just going to blindly go. So I
yeah.
love it's true when they say opposites attract, right? Because I think we balance each other out in that sense.
Yeah, I think it is that. I think it is opposites attract, but also the common ground bits in the middle, they're so important, aren't they? So like those attributes we've got that are the same. And I feel like, yeah, that's why we are so successful, I suppose, is because we cover all bases, I think, because of those different personality profiles as well, because you should have different skill sets. You should be able to lean in on them. And, you know, sometimes I do need speeding up a bit. And sometimes Joe needs slowing down a little bit. So I think we know now where that needs to happen. She's shaking her head. We know where that needs to happen. And actually, what I think we're really good at now is recognizing it ourselves before the other person actually needs to intervene and actually say anything. It's like I'll suddenly like I'll sense that cautiousness within myself and go like, okay, Vicky, like, well, before you did need to be this cautious or you did need to kind of assess everything, but now we've made so many decisions, big decisions, as you've mentioned some of them already, Joe, but I think that I've got better at being able to make those decisions quicker and knowing that they are the right decision for the business. Because at the end of the day, like if we need to make a quick decision, we need to, like that we have had to do that in the past for different things. And it's like, is this going to benefit us? Is this going to bring the return on that investment? Is it going to be feasible time wise? Is it going to be feasible like skill wise? Can we do all these things work? And I think I've got pretty good at like doing all those things quite quickly now and going like, if it's a real, I don't say no very often, but if I do, I think there's a good reason why. Whereas at the beginning, there would have been that just, oh my God, this is going too fast. It's scaring me. I'm going to just say no to everything. So I can feel, like I said before, about the growth and the personal development part. I can feel that so much, like how that's benefited me. And yeah, and I think it is all about that. We talk every single day, like when Joe said about our husbands, like knowing that we see each other more than them. And it's because we have to do it because of us as a partnership, but we have to do it for the business, and we have to keep being really open and honest and transparent with each other, because if we weren't, everything would have broken down by now, because the pressure has been an awful lot. Like there's such a lot that's happened. And I think, yeah, that is key to that working, I suppose, is that openness and transparency and vulnerability, which actually we show to our clients. Like in our audiences, we are so raw and real and open. And what happens is that we get the same back from our clients then. Like I've been voice noting some people today, some potential clients in the background, and they've been so honest and open with me and said things which, you know, when you just read something or you hear something, you're like, wow, someone feels they can say that. And it's because we're sort of setting that tone, I suppose, with what we're going through and how we've dealt with it. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff personally in the background, particularly with Joe at the moment, family wise and stuff that's been a real challenge, and she will openly say that to the audience, not for sympathy, not to get loads of like, oh, I hope you're okay comments, but just to be like, look, shit goes on, like it's hard, this life thing is hard and the business bit is really hard, but combined you can still get through it if you use these sort of, you know, techniques, or you know, follow our lead almost with it, really. And we get such a nice response from people that message us about the podcast, that message us about the openness and the vulnerability, and so that kind of makes it for us. We know it's the right way to kind of go with the messaging that we're putting out, really.
I love it, right? Because I think, like, if you live by a certain, like for me, I have my top 5 core values that I will not budge on, right? Which one of them is vulnerability, because if I'm not vulnerable with a client I'm trying to help get sober, like here's my story, and you know, without getting into, but going, look, I and empathize with him, I know, or her, and go, I can sometimes tell a client how they're feeling before they even open their mouths, right? And that builds the trust. And right, in any relationship, whether it's a canine business or what I do, right, building trust is very important. And if you're transparent and vulnerable, right? Because you said it perfectly, Vicky. Like shit happens, right? And if the world sees you and like you're always saying, "Oh, I'm happy all the time, nothing's wrong," they're gonna be like, "I don't trust that guy. That Max is too happy." I've had that happen to me a couple of times, on, you know, but it was a good part, a good part of my life, right? But I've also shared the most devastating parts, like when my family members passed away 8, 9 years, 3 of them, like within a year, and because then you get from the people that you're trying to do business, like this is a human being, like he's or she, like, or they are just like us, and they're gonna have, right, and some days I'm sure, Vicky, you're picking up Joe, and there's days Joe's picking up you, because I have one of my leads, as I say, he followed his dream now, but he would call me every morning. My wife's like, yeah, you talk to him more than you ever talk to me, like what's going on here, like we're gonna have a talk. I said, honey, he's just checking in to make sure that he carries out the things I need him to carry out, right? And sometimes it's not, though. She doesn't know that, but no, it's just shooting the, you know, 2 guys shooting the shit. But I get that, right? When you can find that balance and personal development, Vicky, I think everyone who goes into business for themselves needs to learn some type of personal development, because as you guys just explained, it can be tough. And there's times you're going to, you know, you can't do it, but I want to be that ostrich that sticks my head in the ground and goes, okay, well, as soon as it's all past me, I'll come up and say, okay, everything's fine, right? We all know that's not the case in the world of business or even in life, right? You have to face things head on, and at least you have each other to run ideas by and do those pros and cons lists when you have to make those quick, tough decisions, right? You guys can do that quickly because you know each other so well. How does that work? Like, okay, I'm going to go the other way. Like when you guys are in total disagreement, how do you come to, right? Like if Joe says, we're doing it this way, Vicky said, no, I'm doing it this way. Like, how do you come to a compromise, right? Because I think if you listen to everybody, this is very important. You got to learn to compromise, and so that everything goes as smoothly as possibly you can, right? Whoever wants to answer that first can go right ahead. I want to hear from both of you, though, how that works.
Oh, I'm trying to think now.
Do you know what? I don't think we ever get to. We've never had that, really, have we? I suppose the example I can think of is when I had my little. Well, you had your little strop when we were going to invest in the podcast agency. So you might want to tell that story. But I think that's the only one we've ever had, and that was right at the beginning, really. Do you want to tell it? Because you do it well.
Clearly it's one we talk about. Yeah, so actually it kind of leans in very much on those personality profiles again. So at the time when we were deciding whether or not to make a substantial investment in our podcast, because we wanted to go down the agency route, we were at this 3-day event, and you know the drill. You go to these workshop things, you know there's going to be an upsell, there's all of that. And we both agreed before we go, it's like, right, we're not going to do the upsell. We're literally just going to go do the 3-day and we're good. Because we literally had no cash. Like there was nothing there. And within a day.
So this is to learn how to do podcasting, how to edit, how to do everything yourself. So that's what we were going for. That's the purpose of the course. No, Joe, we're not spending any money. That was it.
No,
I love it.
not at all. But the vibe was really good there, and we really got on with the agency itself. And we was like, oh, okay. And then the more they started and the more they started showing us all of the detail and everything, my profile side was going, absolutely no chance in hell am I going to do all this. Like, there's far too much. I haven't got time to edit. So for context as well, I've got two young boys. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old that I'm home educating for the reasons you were talking about earlier, actually, about the school system and all of that and bringing into the entrepreneurial world. But I'm busy. I've got stuff going on. And we was like, I haven't got time to do this. So this piece of paper comes around to go, do you want to have a conversation with us to find out whether or not we could be a good fit for you? And I'm like, love it. Love this sales process. It doesn't feel salesy. I love it. I'm in. Let's go and have a conversation. So I start filling in the bit of paper. And then lo and behold, Vicky like leans over and she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just, what? It's a conversation. And she's like, Joe, it's not a conversation. I know what you're like. No, just no. And I'm like, but it's a conversation. Anyway, I got a bit stroppy because it was in like a little coffee break thing. And I literally ripped the paper up and I was like, fine, we're not going to do it. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, and I went out for a wee break, come back in. Vicky's in floods of tears. And I'm like, what the hell happened? I've literally been gone like 2 minutes. Lo and behold, there was a life coach on our table who was sat next to Vicky, and
She
she
was
turned around
a
to me.
regression coach. She took
A
me back to
regression.
childhood.
No.
And I'm like, what has happened here? And she's like, Joe, it's my dad. It's my dad's fault why I can't spend this money on the podcast agency. I'm like, what? So confused. So she starts chatting. And again, within like 5-10 minutes, I'm going, so can I go and get another bit of paper? We can go and have a conversation. Is this my green light or are we still off? But I think kind of what Vicky was mentioning earlier, like the fact that we talk so much and we can have those really brutal and open and honest conversations because we know it's never the intention to hurt the other person's feelings. It's just going, okay, what is right for the business, which is ultimately then right for us and ultimately then right for the client as well. It's like, how can we look at everything and make it a win for everybody involved?
I love it. What about you, Vicky? Give me another example. I love that one though.
Oh, I'm not sure there is another example.
I'm thinking of the book, the memoir.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that, Vicky.
Okay, so we're writing this book and we give ourselves a ridiculously tight timeline. 6 weeks we wrote the book in because it was very strategic. We were going to a dog conference and the plan was to give everybody a copy of the book for free that was attending. So the conference was in the November of last year. So we had to have finished the book by when was it? When did we have to finish it? By June, May or June. Had to be finished because there had to be like a 3-month period where they did all the edits and everything. And in that time, we were both on holiday at least twice each. So we were like, great, let's do it in 6 weeks and let's go on holiday each at least twice. One was for a week for me as well. So it was like an entire week out. And let's try and write this book. So we started writing this book and it was good, actually. The process of writing a book, never written a book before, didn't really know how it was going to go, ended up pouring all this stuff out. Right. So I'm literally sat at my laptop and it's like just coming out things that have happened to me as a child. Again, it kind of took me back to childhood, where all my early experiences of different jobs had helped me become the person I've become. And all this stuff was going into this book, right? You pretty much did the same, actually, didn't you, Joe? You were putting a lot of, deep stuff in there. And don't get me wrong, there are bits of this book which are fairly deep, but the end premise is it's a workbook. It's a lead magnet to get people to read it, to then like buy our services, hopefully. But also it does help it. You can literally use it as a workbook. But when we'd written this manuscript and we were looking back at it and we were going through it with the editors, with the publishers, we were like, Joe was like, Vicky, it feels like a memoir. it doesn't feel like the book it was intended to be. And I feel like it's just us telling every like little story about ourselves, and there's not enough in there about what to do and how to, you know, get a strategic business and all this sort of stuff that it was meant to do. And I was just like, she said this to me and I was like, what? I've done all of this writing and you're telling me that it's no good and it needs to be read. And I had an absolute strap about it, didn't I? I was not happy. I was away in my motorhome. I've got a motorhome and we were away, and she sent me this voice note and I listened to it and I was like, I cannot reply to this. So I literally just didn't ignore her on purpose, but I was so like about it that I was like, I can't respond to it. So I just like put my phone down, didn't look at it, telling my husband about it. And he was just like, oh, right, okay. He didn't really know what to say. It was just like, okay, there's like this issue between you both. And I was like, it's not an issue. It's not an issue. I just can't like speak to her at the moment. And then it was driving her mad, absolutely driving her mad because I didn't reply. How did it feel, Joe?
Oh my God. You know, when you used to date someone and you're like, hello, where have you gone? Have you disappeared? And then all this, like, I don't know, I suppose it is a bit of anxiety. Everything just creeps in because I was like, we talk all the time. We voice note all, and I was getting one word messages back. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. I was like, I know you're pissed off. Just have it out with me. Like, just stop stropping and have it. And again, deprofile, very like, come on, quick, let's just get it over and done. Let's have the disagreement, get it over and done with. And Vicky was just like, nope, I'm not talking to you. I'm just gonna sit and fester. And I was like,
I'm the sort of, I don't really like confrontation, and I knew that I would say something I might regret saying. So I was like, I'm better just not saying anything at the moment, and until I'd sort of simmered down and calmed down, and I can't remember how long it all took in the end, but I remember looking back at that process, going like, oh my God, as if I couldn't see that, as if I was so blinded by what I'd written and how amazing it was, and how like profound, and all these like words were coming out of me, you know. And I was like, how did I not see it? And I was just so in it that I couldn't see. And it just was someone else going, look at what we've just done here. Like, it's great, it's deep, it's really nice and from the heart, but how is this really going to help dog trainers with their business? And once I got to that realization, it was all good, and we laugh about it like we are now. But that, yeah, I'd forgotten about that one actually. That's, yeah, we got through it.
Right? Like, I'd rather have my mom get mad at me than give me the silent treatment. Like, here, mom, here's a spoon, wooden spoon. Just smack me on whatever you got to do to let me know, you know. But and then moms are the best at just giving you that look and then walking away where you feel about that big. You know what I mean? And you're like,
oh yeah.
mom was the queen of the silent treatment. So, but I'm like you, Joe. I'd have been like at her house. Look, we're talking now. You're not gonna do that to me. Sorry, you know, that's my personality. But I have learned to be better and walk away. But so in that process of writing the book, give some tidbits, right? We heard there's some deep stuff in there and there's stuff for business, but give the audience a little idea of what's in your book. So when they go to get it, they, you know, they can, they have an expectation of what to read. And they're probably going to get the feelings that I'm getting over here, because I'm seeing Joe smiling and laughing. Vicky's over here smiling, right? I mean, writing a book by yourself is one thing, but having your partner, your friend, like I could see where I would have probably went crazy too if someone gave me the, what do they call that? Like the silent treatment or ghosting. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hello, I thought everything went well, and all you hear on the other end is like crickets. Whoa, no,
Yeah.
don't do that to me, please.
Yeah. And you know why it was so bad is because I knew she was right. And it annoyed me that she was right. And she's actually brought it to the forefront.
Yeah. Yep, I did that. Everybody. But I mean, look at, you have a best-selling book, right? And so talk about that book a little bit. I mean, we know it's for people, to help people. I want to hear the nitty-gritty, like what's inside the deep stuff that's going to help a client. I bet you if they read your book about canines, it'll help them with any business. If you think about it, from what I'm hearing, that's what I'm gathering. it'll give them the tools what they need to help start and run their own business. It could be, I don't know. I'm thinking of this commercial I just saw with one of the funny guys, and he's at the lemonade stand, and it's two kids, and he's like, "Don't tell me this is fresh squeezed lemonade." And I forget the actor. He's really funny, and he goes, "It's a PayPal commercial, right?" So there's so much that goes into a business, which I learned along the way after falling down and brushing off my, and so I guess what I'm getting at is like, what are some of those nuggets that you could give my audience that will help them, right? So they're not just going, here's another canine book that is going to help me raise my dog, right? Because that's not what it is. It's part of it, but it sounds like there's some really good life lessons in there of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're hearing that. That's very good.
Teach my audience.
Oh, okay. So what is in the book? So I think you are absolutely right that regardless as to whether or not you have a canine business, yes, it's kind of targeted at canine businesses. However, the way we've tried to approach it is very much a case of, if you understand these pillars of business, like the foundations that your business is going to be built on, then you can choose to go whichever way you want. But having these core pillars that are going to hold everything up is crucial. And I think the lessons that we've gone into on that is certainly about, I suppose, the challenge of wanting to be a bit different. So I think being an entrepreneur in itself is incredibly challenging, and it's why so few percent of the whole world are actually entrepreneurs. So having the guts to actually step outside of the box and step outside of the norm and go, right, do you know what? I am actually going to do something different here, and I'm going to try and connect with my audience. And in order to connect with your audience, you need to identify who your audience is actually going to be. And I think it ties in as well with, so there's a whole chapter we've done on mindset within that book, in going, the way you think about everything is going to impact anything and everything that you do. Like, you can have a step-by-step roadmap on how to do anything in life, and certainly from a business aspect, I think sometimes this is the interpretation that a lot of people have if they go and invest in a business mentor or a coach, or anybody actually, if they're investing in somebody to help them with something, that it's a step-by-step plan. But it's never as easy as that, because it's how you perceive things. And one big area that we focus on is definitely the money mindset, the thought process that nobody can afford your services, the world's gone to shit, nobody can afford anything, your services are too high, or you don't value yourself, or that imposter syndrome thing creeps in, or whatever it is. It all circulates around your thoughts, and whatever your thoughts are, you will see them come into fruition all the time. In fact, a phrase that we like to use a lot is, or it's a famous quote actually, but like, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And a lot of that comes down to mindset and being aware about it. And I think that's the one thing that Vicky and I will both attribute a lot of our success to, is that we invested in mentors that challenged our mindset on everything. They wouldn't let us make the excuses. So anytime an excuse came out of our mouth, they were like, okay, where's that coming from? I'm like, what do you mean, where's it coming from? It's because like so-and-so and so-and-so did this and rah, rah, rah. I'm like, okay. And where's that? And it's that challenge all the time. So you actually feel really defensive. But at the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, I caused that problem. That was all me. Oops.
Mindset. That's why there's truth to that saying that says, whatever you put out there, right? Whatever you're thinking, you'll get back, because that's what, if you want to call it the universe, God, whatever, right? Buddha. Because if you know, I notice whenever I'm in a bad time where I'm thinking negative thoughts, negative things seem to happen. But when I switch it, right, then good things start to happen, right? And it sounds like, right, it doesn't matter. I have learned, I've had to work on it, right? That mindset. Like I don't deserve to charge this much money for a client or this, right? Then for a long time, I wasn't getting any clients. And my mentor, my coach was like, because you're putting it out there. You're like, you're telling the universe that you don't need clients because you're not worthy of a client. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh. You know what I mean? And it took some work. But what about you, Vicky? Like, what are some of the takeaways you could give the audience of your book besides
Well, I was just about to just start this bit with mindset. We really could have written the entire book on, because it is everything, and it kind of threads actually all the way through the book in every other chapter as well. And I suppose this is where business strategy is business strategy, right? So you've got your map, your roadmap, and you follow it. And a bit like you were saying earlier, Joe, about you can't execute it unless you got the right mindset. But I feel like, because the back to the memoir part we were talking about earlier, and we haven't taken it all out, by the way. There are many parts of that book where it describes how we have got to where we are today, how we felt, and how we can relate to how you're reading, how you're feeling, sorry, as a reader of that book. And I feel like that's why people tend to really relate to us, because it is so niche. The business strategy bit is about dog trainers predominantly, because that's what we are. That's where we come from. The trials and tribulations of getting to where we are today is all documented in that book. So I think you've got every chapter, which is kind of broken down into like your customer journey, your like sales part, your looking at where your purpose is, like, why are you a dog trainer in the first place? Why do you do what you do? And then how can we create services and offers for people that are just irresistible? They are serving them at 100 million% to the core. It's a win for the client, it's a win for you, and it's all wrapped up in our experiences as dog trainers and the struggles and all of those things along the way, and a bit of that memoir-y bit woven in there as well. So I feel like it's sort of like we've had some great feedback about the book, actually, and the coaching programs we have are basically like the book come to life. So we just take someone through that entire journey in real life, with our support, with our accountability, and all of that stuff. So it kind of is just a real nice taster, I suppose, of what is to come if people do work with us, and to give them a really good idea of what we're about. And a lot of our personality, I would say, is in that book as well.
love it? I love it. Right. Man, I'm working with a code. When you guys are bringing this up, like it brings memories. Like in my recovery, one of the first things I heard, Joe, is what you said, Max. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And I would look at my sponsor or my mentor like, what do you mean? Like you can't be the same jerk that you were when you were drinking, and be the same one sober, right? It doesn't work. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I had to. There was a truth to my sponsor saying, Max, there's one thing you got to change, and that's everything. Thank God I heard that loud and clear, even though it hurt a little bit. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not that bad. Yeah, you are, dude. Like, he would just, yeah, but I got you. You know what I mean? And thank God we had those people along the way. Like, you have each other, and I'm sure a big support group that helped you along the way. Because if the audience, if you're paying attention, right, they didn't do this alone. They had each other, and they've had their support systems. And, like, in doing this podcast, right? The same thing as having that mentor, that coach, that accountability partner every time. And I'll tell you guys, when we're off the air, you'll laugh because I said it in passing. Like I wasn't even supposed to start that. I just thought I was going to say it to get him off my back, right? Ooh, that didn't work. But here I am with you wonderful ladies. And I'm so glad that he stayed on me, because I wouldn't be here having this wonderful conversation if it wasn't for him, with you guys, you ladies. And, you know, so I want to ask you like my questions before we get into how they can get a hold of you and work with you or get your book. But I wrote my book too, which was a labor of love too. And there was times, but it sounds like I feel bad, right? Like it took him 6 weeks, everybody. And if you ask him how long mine took, it took 10 years before I got off my butt and finished it. Right. But it took, I think, like divine intervention at times in my life where someone said, look, I'm going through a rough time. I didn't know it, but I'm going to sit here with you and we're going to get this done. I'm like, okay. right? Which it sounds like you guys did for each other and the people around you. So happiness, as you can see, are fearless. Let's start with fearless. I'm going backwards here. Uh, what does fearless mean to you, ladies, and how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
I'm going to let you go first, Vic.
Fearless is the way I see fearless is if you never take the leap, you'll never know. Like you have to be a bit fearless to know what's on the other side. And even if you jump and it isn't exactly what you thought it was, you're still going to learn from it. So for me, learning to be more fearless, learning to be able to take a risk, and know that even if I fail, I'm not going to fail completely because I'm going to take some learnings from it. And everything we've done in CBA actually has kind of been a bit of a test. Like it's evolved so much in a 12-month period. And every time we fail, that's the best bits for me because I'm like, then we're going to make that better.
I love it. See, and before I let you go, Joe, I love what you said because I think that's what all the greats. I put you in the same category. They always said a failure is not a failure if you learn from it. It's actually a win. And you heard her, everybody. So put that in your cookie jar and save it for later because you might need it. I know I'm gonna use it. So now it's your turn, Joe.
Oh, I feel like this is really hard because, like I said earlier, we're the same person. So we're very much.
I've stolen your answer, have I?
I have stolen my answer. But no, I think it's that reiteration of don't be, and it's easier said than done, isn't it? But don't be afraid to try because you never know what's on the other side of fear. And for me, on the other side of fear has always been greatness because fear holds us back. We can see it worldwide in so many different areas of life. So on the other side of fear, amazingness can happen. And I think we just need to trust in ourselves to take that step forward.
Absolutely. Trust the process. And that's hard to do sometimes, but I remember I got told that many times too. Just do it anyway, Max. Do it anyway. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
My sponsor would go, I don't care if you're afraid. Do it anyway. But I love it. I love it. So my next question, happiness. See, I put a Y in it. There's a reason for it. So what does happiness mean to you? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
Okay, I'm going to talk about happiness in terms of the CBA for us, because for me, it's that desire to want to keep doing something, regardless of how you feel. When you wake up in the morning and you might be a bit like, oh, like this morning, I'm going to confess now, I felt a little bit hungover because I was out all day yesterday drinking. And I was like, oh, and then, I can feel a bit of loss of motivation and all that. And then I realize what we do every single day and who we're doing it for and what impact we're making. And that makes me happy again. So it's a way of me just, I suppose, having that purpose and making sure that I'm doing the thing I love and it makes me happy every single day to know we're making a difference, to know that we are being received really well and we're making big changes to people's lives, and that makes me really happy.
Your turn, Joe.
I think for me, happiness is finding those moments in every single day that's going to make you smile and hopefully belly laugh as well. Because again, like you get one life and you never know what's going to happen. So find people that are going to make you physically like wet your pants with crying laughter because it's the joy that brings everything together. And then when you combine that with that purpose bit that Vicky's just talked about, everything's just such a beautiful space to be in. And Vicky alluded to it earlier that for me personally, like I've got a lot of crap going on at the moment. My mum's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia and world is falling apart. However, I can still find the joy in every single day and I can still have those belly laughs. And Vicky is a big part of that as well. So it's just find time to smile.
You heard that, everybody. You heard that. And laugh so hard you pee your pants is what she said.
Yep.
I love
Do
it.
Who'd have thought you'd have said that on a podcast, hey?
Come on, it's going to
I just
happen, isn't it?
make sure, like, that's the kind of nuggets that my audience needs. I think all of us have more and have fun. Also take life serious, but not take ourselves serious, what I believe, but have fun with it. But this has been an amazing time. Thank you so much, for what we've all talked about so far. But if my audience wants to get a hold of you, right? They want to work with you, they want to get your book, or they want to listen to your podcast, how do they get in touch with you?
So the podcast is called Let's Talk Dog Business, and that is on every major podcast platform. The book is available on Amazon, and that is Let's Talk Dog Business Strategy. And our website's probably the best place to find out more about us and to, learn a bit more on whether we might be the right people to help, which is caninebusinessacademy.com.
Anything you want to add, Joe?
Just keep being awesome, everybody. And I've really enjoyed this. This has been fun.
Great.
I love it. I love it. Man, this has been, like I said, one amazing time. I've had so much fun with you ladies today and getting to know you, but you're not quite off the hook just yet. I get to ask you my favorite question I ask of all my guests, and you guys both have to answer it. So, but who goes first is up to you. It goes like this. What is the one piece of advice you could give my audience to help them grow as human beings and become better people?
Ooh. I'm going to go first. So you can copy my answer, Joe. I think to keep growing, you need to keep looking inwards and looking at yourself and how you can learn. Like, instead of blaming everyone else, which is really easy to do, and especially in our communities, in our industry, it's really easy to do, is look at how that's happened, how you've managed to get yourself in that situation, and what you have done to contribute to that first, and then start looking at the other stuff outwardly. But I would definitely learn to look inwards, because that is the biggest bit of growth I've ever done.
Go.
I'm going to say surround yourself with people that inspire you and that want you to do better. Because I think there's a lot of people, and let's face it, as much as our friends and family all love us, they will keep you down. And that sounds really horrible to say, but they will. So, and it's because of their fear. So look past their fear, know that what you want, whatever that is achievable for you, and find people that are going to lift you up and cheerlead you and pee your pants with laughter. Got to add it in again because it's true.
And it's so true, though. I couldn't agree with you more. I always think of I hear that from someone, I always think of that quote from Jesse Jackson that says, the only time you should ever look down on anyone is when you're helping them up. And I think we need to do that more with each other, whether you're in England or here in America or wherever in the world, right? We're all brothers and sisters in this thing called Earth. And we all need to be kinder and more compassionate. And just like you said, once in a while, pee your pants because you laugh so hard. I'm going to take that and tell my wife, and I'm going to tell her a funny joke when I get done with this, but hopefully, or she'll look at me and go, whatever. I love it. I love it. Thank you both so much for being here. Thank you for the wonderful conversation. I've had such a good time with you guys. Thank you so much. So you heard them, everybody. If Joe and Vicky made you laugh or pee your pants, maybe, if they made you think, if they taught you something, or if they made you smile, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people could find the podcast. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happiness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happiness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnijst.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happiness.